Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for All Illinois Students, sponsored by the Illinois Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of the many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at IACAC.org. The presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website, IACAC.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Happy afternoon. My name is Rajonda Robinson, and I am the admissions representative for the University of South Carolina, but I live in the South Loop in Chicago. So during this presentation, most likely you will hear a train in the background. I will go ahead and get started, and if y'all have any questions, definitely feel free to add them into the Q&A, and I will get to as many questions as possible. So the University of South Carolina is located in Columbia, South Carolina. So we are right in the capital city. We are located 90 miles from Charlotte, 90 miles from the mountains, and 90 miles from the beach. On average, we get about 217 sunny days a year. And so the weather is super mild. You're able to wear your light jackets. You won't need snow boots. You probably won't see snow while you're in Columbia. With us being in the capital city, our campus is only 2 blocks from the State House. We have over 35 Fortune 500 companies in Columbia, which aids in the internships and co-ops that we're able to give to our students. Last year, we had over 11,700 internships offered, and we hope to have the same amount, each year, depending on how COVID goes. There's a lot of outdoor recreation in Columbia. There are art and entertainment and lots of culture. There's lots of museums and hotels and everywhere for our students to hang out. It's one of the fastest growing cities for millennials right now. And so we have a lot of new businesses, a lot of mom and pop shops, and a lot of entertainment for our students on campus. Our campus in general, we are considered a large public institution. About 44% of our students are from out of state. Illinois is one of our top 10 states. But in general, we have 27,000, a little over 27,000 undergrad students, and then about 34,000 total. We have our own medical school, our own law school, our own school of pharmacy, and then a full graduate school. So with our academics, we have 56 nationally ranked programs within our academics, which is more than all the universities combined in the rest of the state of South Carolina. So with that being said, no matter which area that you're interested in, most likely it'll be ranked in some way. We have over 300 combinations that students can go into, and that is from over 100 majors, but you can add in minors and cognates along with that. So if you're wanting to be in engineering, but you want a business minor, you can do that. And it's a lot of different combinations based on your interests. Our student-to-faculty ratio is 17:1. This year, we ended up capping all of our classes at 100 students on campus, and we were in a hybrid model. However, in a normal year, 85% of our classes will have less than 50 students total. So a little bit about exploring majors. So undeclared is one of our top 5 majors that students will apply to on our campus. And so if you know the area that you want to go into, you can be directly admitted into your major. But if you don't know or you want to explore a little bit more, we have areas on our campus like undeclared that allow students to just take classes in the different areas that they are interested in and then go ahead and choose a major after that. We also have areas of undeclared in other areas. So for example, if you are interested in engineering, but you're not sure what kind of engineering, you can come in as a general engineering student. These are all the different academic colleges and schools on our campus. So from the Arnold School of Public Health all the way to our College of Pharmacy, most of our programs are going to be direct admit for all students. The only two areas on our campus that are not direct admit to all students are international business and the College of Nursing. International business is the #1 program in the country. And so that is usually why we're not able to admit all students into that major as they apply. However, if you are admitted into the South Carolina Honors College, you can have direct admission into all majors on our campus. A couple of the academic areas that stick out for me, and I think that are some of the more popular. One is going to be the College of Nursing. One of the reasons why, besides having their own simulation lab, the students in the past couple of years have had a 100% pass rate on the NCLEX. So our nurses are super prepared for whatever they're going to get involved in, whether it be in neonatal, and ER, or whatever area of nursing they want to go into. I already mentioned international business as being #1 in the country, but we also have the #1 sport and entertainment management program in the country as well. Our students in that area have found jobs with the NFL, with NASCAR, with the MLB, with some minor leagues, and just kind of all over. So whatever area of sport you're interested in, I think the college really does well in preparing their students to be involved on campus and then go out and get jobs and have internships. So a little bit more about our Carolina Elite program. So I mentioned the South Carolina Honors College, but a part of that Carolina Elite grouping is Top Scholars and also the Capstone Scholars program. And I'm just gonna start at the bottom there. So the Capstone Scholars program is an invitation only 2-year program. So if I'm reading one of your applications and you're involved and your academics are great, I can recommend you for Capstone Scholars. There's no application for Capstone. It is an invitation only program. Within Capstone, you have to conquer a fear, and they go by the 4 pillars. So they do service, community service in Columbia and on our campus. They have to conquer a fear, like I mentioned before, but there's also some super fun things, like they do competitions within the floors within Capstone Scholars. And actually the Capstone Scholars housing is that top left corner with the garnet light at the top, which is actually a spinning restaurant, which is kind of cool. With the Capstone Scholars program as well, so it's a 2-year program, but if you would like to continue into the program during your 3rd year or during your 4th year, you can become a Capstone Scholars mentor. The second area is going to be the South Carolina Honors College. So this is the #1 ranked public honors college in the country. That bottom right-hand corner is actually the honors housing option that students have if they are admitted into honors. If you are part of the Honors College, there are an additional 500 classes that you can take that are honors classes. There's also study abroad trips that you can take, just like Capstone. As well as having your own housing where there's classrooms, a Starbucks, and the quintessential Southern porch with rocking chairs on the back. The top scholars are going to be the top students who apply to the South Carolina Honors College, and they're usually in the top 5% of the applications that we get each year. But if you are applying to the South Carolina Honors College, you will automatically be considered for top scholars. Both of the housing options that you see on here are for Capstone Scholars and for South Carolina Honors College. But if you are a part of those two, you don't necessarily have to live in one of those housing options. You do have the option to live in one of the other housing options, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So student life. So we have over 500 student organizations on our campus that are open for students. If you're thinking about Greek life or joining a sorority or fraternity, only about 20% of our students will actually participate in Greek life, and that could be a social sorority or fraternity, and it could also be professional. We're not one of those campuses where if you decide to join a sorority or fraternity, I think you'll have a great time, but if you decide not to, you'll still have a great time on campus. In that bottom right-hand corner, that is actually our student recreation center. So we have an outdoor pool, an indoor pool, there's a climbing wall, there's all the equipment that you would have at a regular gym or workout facility. And then there's also rooms in the back where you can do free cooking classes, you can do yoga classes, and those are all included with your student membership. And one of the other cool things is that if you're wanting to do one of the kayaking trips or the canoeing trips, you can actually rent that equipment from the recreation center, so you don't have to bring your own kayaks or canoes or anything like that. If you go to our website, there's actually a place where we host and hold all of our student organizations, and it's called Garnet Gate. So if you go to our website and type in Garnet Gate in the search, you will actually be able to pull up all the student organizations. I think one of the coolest things about going to a large university is just how many organizations that you can be involved in. And I think it's also one of the most important parts about choosing your university. So of course you want to go to a school that has your major, and we talked about those already, but you absolutely want to go to a school that has some organizations or something that you will join or some interest that you'll have outside of going to class. If you're only in class 3 to 5 hours a day, what else are you going to be doing besides studying? For me, I joined a choir. I played on the club basketball team. And I just got super involved. I became a tour guide. I worked for the football team. And I remember a lot of those organizations and the people in those organizations more than I remember most of my classes. So a little bit about that Gamecock spirit. So we are in the SEC. We're Division I in all athletics. But one of the cool things about being a student at the University of South Carolina is that you do not have to pay for any SEC events, and that includes football. So you can go to basketball games, you can go to softball games, baseball, whatever your sport of choice is, and they're all free for students. You'll just need to show your Carolina card, and you'll be able to get into all of them. We have some of the highest attendance in college sports. And one of the cool things this year, I think, is that Asia Wilson, if you see her in that that right-hand corner holding the NCAA trophy, she is actually in the WNBA finals right now. She was the #1 draft pick. So we still keep up with our Gamecocks as well, but it's super exciting to be on campus, being able to go to the sporting events for free and just have that Gamecock spirit. Another cool thing is that in Illinois, and I'll talk a little bit about this later, but we have a full Gamecock Alumni Association here, and they throw a lot of watch parties and hosting events, and they actually have their own restaurant and bar here. So a little bit about learning beyond the classroom. So of course, internships, I mentioned those before, in the Columbia area, but also just around the world. So we have internships everywhere. With studying abroad, undergrad research, leadership, service learning, all of those things really aid in the time that you'll spend at the University of South Carolina. With studying abroad, over 20% of our students studied abroad last year. And you can actually study abroad for a full year. You can study abroad for a semester. You can study abroad for a summer program, a winter program. We have like 10-day Maymester programs as well. And there's a couple different choices. So studying abroad at South Carolina, you can choose to study in a program that is maybe in a different language because you want to get a minor, or you can choose to go with a professor from the University of South Carolina to Thailand and study for a semester and continue the classes that you would be doing when you were on campus. It is open to all students after the first semester of their freshman year, so you need a South Carolina GPA in order to study abroad, but you're not limited on where or when you can go. It's really going to be a personal choice. So student success. So our first year advising center is one of the best, I think, just because we do work with students a lot, especially our undecided students or students who are kind of trying to decide if they chose the right major. They do a lot with our students as far as like trying to figure out your interests, what you're not interested in, some classes that you've enjoyed, and help you really find that major. There's free tutoring and success consultations for all of our students on campus. We do career fairs and have career counseling as well. And we have a full office of pre-professional advising. One of the other cool things is that if you are a part of the Honors College with your pre-professional advising, you'll actually have a pre-professional advisor in both the regular university and also with the Honors College. So some of our top employers that we've had over this past year, IBM, Amazon, PepsiCo, Boeing, all of those students who are working in those areas now had internships or worked with internships beforehand, or had multiple internships, but they had job offers right when they were leaving the university before graduation. We also send a ton of students to graduate school. So these are some of the top graduate schools that we've sent students to in the past couple of years. And then some of the top graduate school enrollment I mentioned before that the University of South Carolina has our own law school, our own pharmacy school, and our own medical school, which is number 2, 3, and 4 on our graduate school enrollment. Accounting within the Darla Moore School of Business also has its own grad program. So those first 4 are actually going to be right there in Columbia, South Carolina. A little bit about housing and dining. So I know a lot of universities do their housing based on what building you want to live in, but we don't. We actually do ours based on the living and learning community that you want to be involved in. So I mentioned before that honors is a living and learning community and capstone is a living and learning community, but we have over 25 other options. So if you are a woman and you're interested in engineering, there's a living and learning community for you. If you're someone who is interested in the environment and sustainability, you can live in the Green Quad. If you are interested in the health professions, you can live in the Galen Health Fellows. If it's going to be based on your major, you can live in living and learning community that's based in business or one that's based in sport and entertainment management. But you just have a lot of different options for you. When you fill out your housing application, you're actually going to choose a living and learning community and not the actual location that you want to live in. With our dining options, so there's over 30 unique dining locations, and those also include the ones that are inside the Russell House, which is our student union. So if you wanted to, let's say you're studying in the Russell House and you don't have time to go to one of the dining halls, you can just go to Chick-fil-A that's inside the Russell House, grab a meal and use your one of your South Carolina dining meals. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the admissions process now with the University of South Carolina. Each year we get over 31,000 applications, and that's kind of what it was last year as well. And we're going to be reviewing all of them, and I'll talk about some of those changes. So these are going to be the required courses to attend the University of South Carolina. One that I want to mention is the fine arts credit. So we know that in Illinois, fine arts is not a requirement for all students or for all high schools. And so with that being said, if you have all the other requirements, the fine arts requirement will not be a reason that you are denied from the University of South Carolina. For example, if you took 3 years of a foreign language, we'll just use one of those foreign languages as an elective to fill the fine arts requirement. If you're taking more sciences or more social studies or whatever the case is, we'll just use those as academic electives and make sure that you're bringing in the same number of GPA points that anybody else would be. The rule of thumb is going to be whatever your school categorizes a class as, that is what we will accept it as. So if psychology at your school is a social studies credit, that is what we will use it as. If you have any questions about where a class may fall, your counselor is going to be a great resource for you. But if you still have further questions, you can always send me an email and ask me where a class falls, and I'll be able to tell you. This past year, our freshman profile of the students that just started all lied here. So our freshmen who applies over 31,000. We enrolled 6,200, and the middle 50% are going to be the numbers that you see there. So the 1190 to 1360, 25 to 31, and the 3.82 to 4.53. A couple of changes with this profile. So in previous years, we've added weight to AP classes, to honors classes, and things like that to put all students on the same scale. And that is why the GPA is a little bit higher than what you're thinking about seeing on your transcript. So we will add weight to that. The ACT is actually going to be able to be super scored this year. And if you guys don't know what super scoring is, it means if you've taken the ACT more than once, we will take your highest individual subject scores, and we will create you a new composite of those higher scores. And that's going to be the same with the SAT as well. So everything for the freshman requirements, we are on 3 different applications: the University of South Carolina app, the Coalition application, and the Common application. Students are able to apply on any of the applications. One is not better than the other. We will still get your application into our system, and you'll still be able to check your status on the portal. The application fee is $65, or you can send us a valid fee waiver, which through NACAC, through College Board, ACT, Common App, Coalition, whichever one you get. We require you to submit an unofficial high school transcript. So that can be just a copy, a download, a PDF, whatever the transcript is that you have with your grades on it. That is what you will upload to the University of South Carolina's application. And one of the required supplemental materials. So this year we are test optional. What that means is that we will be test optional for admission into the Honors College, into Capstone, as well as optional or a test optional policy for scholarships as well. These are your three options to have a completed application. So the SAT or ACT test scores, both will be super scored. The three exams from the approved list. So on our website, we have an approved list of AP, IB, and Cambridge exams that we will accept the scores from. And you can submit 3 of those, and that will take the place of sending us the ACT or the SAT. You can also submit graded essays from 11th or 12th grade, and they must have your full name, the date the paper was submitted, your grade earned, and any teacher's comments. You can choose any of those options and your application will be complete. We'll also use that same information that you submit to us for scholarship review, for honors, and for capstone. So the South Carolina Honors College application, obviously this is optional, but if you are planning on applying into the Honors College, you will need to submit the application to the University of South Carolina first, and then you'll be able to submit the South Carolina Honors College application. So there are 2 essay prompts that you will need to submit. There's one short answer question, which asks why you're interested in the University of South Carolina Honors College, and then 2 letters of recommendation, which should be from someone who could speak on your academics, or who knows you like in an academic setting, or who can speak to you like your personality while you're in school and things like that. Again, test scores are not required for consideration with the Honors College this year, and for top scholars either. So a couple of tips for your college essays. Spend time on your essay. You do not have to write a brand new essay every time you're submitting an essay for a school. We're mostly asking the same questions. And I know for us, the University of South Carolina, we are using the Common App prompts for our essay. And so if there are other schools that are using the Common App prompts, just make sure, that you cater to whatever that school is asking. But if it's very similar, you don't need to write a full essay. Write in your own voice, show your depth, maturity, some curiosity, anything that you have that would help answer that prompt. And use specific examples to explain an experience. So if you were wanting to explain to us a time like that you broke your leg, send us through the whole gambit of what happened when you broke your leg. Talk about yourself, bring in yourself. Even if your mom or grandma or dad had a huge impact on your life, we want your essay to be more about you as opposed to about them. Of course, your writing skills, get someone like an English teacher that can review your essay and give you any tips. One of the biggest things is make sure that you proofread, and that's why it's good to give yourself some time and spend some time on your essay, because I don't want to read any essays that say like, that is why I can't wait to get to the University of North Carolina or the University of Illinois. So just make sure you change the name of the school if you're going to use it. But definitely we're okay with you using the essays that you've used for other schools. Just make sure you cater it to us. So a little bit about our deadlines. And with the University of South Carolina, our early action deadline is going to be non-binding, meaning that when you apply October 15th and if you get accepted, you don't have to come to the University of South Carolina. Of course, if you know we're your #1 choice, go ahead and submit that information to us, but it's non-binding. If you apply by October 15th, you will have your decision in mid-December, and that can be accepted, denied, or deferred. If you apply by October 15th, you will have until November 2nd to submit any supplemental materials to us. So whether that be an essay, a test score, whatever it is that you need to submit, you still have until November 2nd. November 2nd is when we will actually start reviewing applications. The honors application is due November 15th, and that is the application for honors college and top scholars, but you still will have until December 1st to get us the honors college letters of recommendation to have your completed application. The regular decision deadline, so if you're going to remember any deadline, it's going to be December 1st, and you will have until February 1st to submit any credentials to us, upgrade or update your application, send us test scores, any of those kinds of things. You'll have until February 1st. If you apply by December 1st, you will get your decision in mid-March. All scholarship information and all scholarship offers will go out in mid-March as well. And the honors college decisions will come in February and early March. So with university scholarships, there is no separate application for scholarships. All students are considered for scholarships. So your application for admission is your application for scholarships. The test scores are not required for consideration for university merit scholarships. We are a need blind school, so we won't see your financial need or anything like that. If you submit the FAFSA to us, it's only going to be based on merit. So all of our scholarships are only based on merit. If you are deciding to submit the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, you will go to studentaid.gov. You can fill out all that information, but just make sure that you include the University of South Carolina as a school who will receive your information, and you will receive a letter, like a financial aid letter from us in April. So the tuition and fee estimate is here. Books and supplies, housing and meals. So for housing and meals, those are going to be on average. So they could be lower than that. They could be higher than that. It's just dependent on the housing option that you chose. With our scholarships and our scholarship range, we haven't had a lot of, well, I haven't had a lot of students from Illinois that actually paid the full amount at all. Our scholarships range from a $5,000 tuition reduction plus $500 cash to a full tuition reduction to the in-state rate plus about $22,000 in cash. And so those are going to be our ranges. Those higher amounts are going to be if a student applies into the honors college, but everything else, you'll be able to find them all on our website. We also accept any outside scholarships, and also we have departmental scholarships that are listed on our scholarship website. For books and supplies, this is if you bought all of your books new. Again, I wouldn't recommend buying all of your books new. I know that I don't while I'm in school and while I'm still in school. It's very easy to rent books from eBay, from Amazon, all types of places. They're usually less expensive. So a little bit about our alumni, and I kind of talked about this when we were talking about where we got jobs and things like that. In the state of Illinois alone, we have over 2,000 alumni. We have our own restaurant and bar here for students with watch parties, but when students are talking about getting jobs when they come back home, some of those alums definitely have or play a part in it. But we have alums in all 50 states, which is great, and countries around the world. So we are open for visiting. Our campus is open. We have prospective student on-campus events, and you can go to our website at sc.edu/admission/connect. If you would like to sign up for a campus tour and a department visit, that is going to be located at sc.edu/visit. And then our virtual tours are also going to be in the same place, except add virtual tour at the end of it. So the contact information is here for undergrad admission. And then my email address is actually just my name, Rajanda, at sc.edu. And then I'm going to answer some of the questions that we have here. And let me just pull this up. So, okay, so regarding majors and admission, do you apply to a certain school or major? Yes, so you will apply directly into the major that you are interested in, and you will be admitted directly into the major that you are interested in. The only students that we were not able to admit directly into their major were some of the nursing students, and they end up being pre-nursing, And some of the international business students ended up being pre-international business. But for every other major on our campus, you'll apply directly into it. So if you want to go into graphic design, you apply directly into graphic design. And when you get to, in the summer, when you're going to register for your classes, you will be registering with an advisor from graphic design. And that's same for engineering or any other area. And then another question we got, are these specific to this year, or are they the same every year? I think that was when we were talking about the numbers here. So if you're talking about the numbers that were listed on there, the middle 50%, those we just go by the previous year. As far as the test optional information, so test optional is going to be for this year. We haven't decided on next year, but we will, we'll have to see once the school year goes. What would be a typical amount of scholarship awarded to a student for a particular GPA or merit? So on our website, we actually have a chart that we estimate the amount. So it's not a set number. So for example, it's not the idea that if you have a 29, then you get this amount. And if you have this GPA, you get this amount. And I know some schools are like that. We're just not. The way ours works is that we review all students, and then we go back through the numbers that you'll see on our website are averages. So it'll say, for the recognition scholarship, the average student had a 28 and a 3.98 GPA. That doesn't mean that is exactly what you will get, but that is what the average student got the previous year. Are freshmen living on campus this year with the pandemic? Yes, we do have students that are living on campus. The way that we've done it this year, we've separated students a little bit more. We've had less students in the rooms. We've spread students out a little bit more as well. But students are actually, if they're on campus, they're required to wear masks. We have a full student health service center there. They can also get COVID tested right on campus, but freshmen are living on campus this year with the pandemic. The thing that we've changed a little bit as far as the pandemic goes is that school will actually be done for us in November, and we will begin a full extensive cleaning again. And then students will come back in January. So our students are actually going to be done right after Thanksgiving break. And then we will clean again like we did beforehand. But yes, students are living on campus through the pandemic. Another thing about living on campus is that freshmen are required to live on campus unless there's another extenuating circumstance like this, or you're deciding to stay home. Freshmen can also have their cars on campus. I wouldn't personally recommend it because most of our students will walk, ride bikes, take the shuttle that we have, or take one of the buses that are free for students. So you can have a car. You do have to pay for parking. I think this past year, students were able to pay for parking, anything like that, but you don't necessarily need it. How can an Illinois student get residency? So unless you are paying taxes in the state of South Carolina, and this is not a University of South Carolina thing, it's more of the state, you have to have an ID in the state, work in the state, and pay taxes in the state to get Illinois residency, which is why a lot of our scholarships first start with the tuition reduction. So when we're able to give out-of-state students that tuition reduction, it fully brings down that cost. Also on our website, you will see that we actually have a list of non-institutional scholarships, and those are ones that we will accept from anywhere, and there are tons of them. So if you eat it at Taco Bell, if you eat at McDonald's, they all have scholarships, and we will accept any of the ones that you get. Do y'all have any other questions about anything? I'm here to answer. Again, I'm the rep that will cover your high schools, that will cover, read applications and all of those kinds of things for your high schools as well. If you go onto our website, you'll find my contact information there. And so while you're going through the process, if you're planning on applying, or if you have questions about applying, I would be the resource for you to answer any questions. I'm also on the same time zone as you, so I live in Chicago. So you don't have to worry about, if the university is already closed, like our office is closed right now, but obviously I still have another hour. So I'm on the same time zone as y'all. So if you have questions, definitely feel free to shoot me an email. And like, again, I said, my email address is my name, Rajonda @sc.edu. Do you guys have any questions about any majors in particular that you're thinking about applying into? The way that the residency works, so the question is, if they graduate from Illinois high schools while one parent lives in South Carolina, would it negate their residency? Whichever parent is filing that student on their taxes, that is the student, that is what we would consider the student's residency. So if the student who lives in South Carolina is filing the student on their taxes, then that is the one, the student could put that as their address. It's where you would have to get mail at. We do have a specific criminology major. We actually have a criminology and criminal justice major, so you get to choose the track within the two. But we do have criminology and criminal justice, both at the University of South Carolina. And I think one of the cool things about being in criminology or criminal justice at the University of South Carolina is, one, we have our own law school, but two, if you're thinking about anything that also has to do with political science, going with the criminology and criminal justice area, we actually are 2 blocks from the State House, and we do a ton of internships there, and it's super cool. Is there a specific marine biology major? Yes, we actually do have a full marine science program. We actually have a humongous research facility right on the water in South Carolina, where our students go and do tons of research on the soil, on the water, on the animals, anything that you would have to do with marine life. We actually have a pretty awesome program. If you go onto our website and type in marine sciences, you'll actually be able to see how we separate the areas within the marine science department, and then also some of the cool internships they've had, a lot of the cool research that they're doing, and then also some of the classes that you'd be able to take if you were a part of marine biology. So yes, we have both criminology and criminal justice, as well as marine biology. And there is a specific psychology major as well. On our website, you'll see that it's a psychology major. But what's nice about psychology is that you can actually explore the different areas of psychology within that one major. So you can explore clinical psychology, you can explore behavioral psychology, child psych, any of those areas, and you will get your degree in psych, but they'll make sure that your clinical hours are in the area that is specific to the area of psychology that you want to go into. Does the university give accommodation for ADHD like my high school does? We do give accommodations for ADHD. So it is through our Disability Resource Center, which is just the name of the center because it houses everything for our students. But if, for example, you have ADHD and you need extra time on tests or whatever the case is, you would just need to let us know. The difference with high school is that there's a lot of forms and things that, your parent or you fills out and you give to the school, and there's a whole plan set for you. For us, you have to let us know because we won't know until you tell us. Once you let us know that you need an accommodation, we will definitely be able to help you. And whether that's with note taking, with more time on tests, with taking tests in different areas, we have all those accommodations for you. It says, could you talk about the size difference between Columbia and a large city like Chicago? And could you talk about the area of Columbia that U of SC is located in? I'm not interested in a school in a big city like Chicago. Yes, that does make sense. So Columbia is going to be a smaller city, about 100,000 people, plus what the university brings. So we're going to be more comparable to like Naperville, where there's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of things to see. There's museums, there's libraries, there's restaurants, there's movie theaters and shops and clothing stores, Starbucks, of course, and all those kinds of areas, but on a very smaller scale. So it's very much like a college town, but a one that's enough where you're not set to only do things on campus. Of course, if you are on campus, we have a theater and dance and concerts and all types of things, but they're all right there within walking distance. If you wanted to go to the movie theater, which is in Columbia, technically, it's still a walk from our campus. So if you think about the University of South Carolina, we're kind of right in the middle of Columbia, and then Columbia is right in the middle of the state, but it's not a huge city like Chicago. It's very Southern. People always have sweet tea for you. They have gravy on everything. They always speak. And it's very much like a very Southern town. So I think if you're thinking about just the size and kind of the atmosphere, it's more like Naperville as opposed to Chicago, if you're thinking about kind of like the Chicagoland area. I hope that answers your question. I hope that makes sense. And they also have some really good restaurants in Columbia. Every time I go there, I think that's what I look forward to the most is eating. And so I think that's one of my favorite areas. Town is absolutely walkable from campus. So when I was talking about like Main Street, where a lot of the hotels and more fancy restaurants and movie theaters are, that's walkable. The other area that our students hang out in is called 5 Points, which is where there's a lot of like restaurants, bars, mom and pop shops, Starbucks, coffee shops, study areas, things like that. That's also walkable, but you could also take one of the free shuttles that is open for students. And then our students kind of just hang out on campus. So at the Russell House, on the Horseshoe, areas like that. Yeah, the campus is safe and the city is safe. One of the biggest, our biggest crime on campus is bike theft. So my advice to you is that if you're going to bring a bike to campus, make sure you bring a lock. And that's our biggest crime on campus, if you can call it, just theft. So people kind of just leave stuff. And so just, be careful with your things, lock your bike up, take your bags with you, those kinds of things. I've never felt unsafe while I was on campus, if that helps answer your question as well. And another thing I wanted to mention a little bit, we do have direct flights out of O'Hare straight to Columbia if you were flying to visit campus or to go to campus. But if, for example, your mom has Southwest points and you would rather use Southwest, you can also fly into Charlotte, and the drive is about an hour and 15 minutes. But we also have a shuttle for our students that leaves from the Charlotte airport that brings you straight to campus, and then campus back to the Charlotte airport. So it's very easy to get to. The flight's about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So it's not like a long flight at all. I fly out when I go to campus, I always fly there. Depending on how many of us are going, but I can fly directly into Columbia if need be. And it's a super small airport. You don't even need to get there that early if you're flying out. It takes you right in and right out. There's only 2 terminals, so. Do you guys have any other questions before our time runs out here? All right, thank you guys so much for coming in today. Definitely send me an email if you have any questions, and I would be happy to answer them for you. If you need any help with applications or anything like that, I'm 100% here to help. Thank y'all.
Alrighty, thank you everyone for joining us. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. Also, this was just one of the many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for any additional sessions at IACAC.org. In about a week, you'll be able to find the sessions recording as well as all the other session recordings at IACAC.org. Thank you.